Hello, welcome to this conversation on wellness and taking care of yourself during college. My name is Craig Bideman. I am the Health and Wellness Promotion Specialist at University Health Services. And this is a conversation that I like to share with incoming students on just a little bit of advice and a little bit of a tale on how to take care of yourself during college. This is who I am. My name is Craig. I work here at UMass Boston as the health education and wellness promotion specialist. I've been doing this work for about 4 years now, and I've really developed the program into what it is today. I do a lot with my peer health educators who are folks who educate in the community at large at UMass Boston. They also help me put on talks, put on programs, and do all sorts of things on campus and digitally now, because that's where we live right now. Um, I did my undergrad at Oregon State University, which I'll get into in a moment. But I also did my graduate work at UMass Amherst. So I did a big old move across the country to start a new life and to become who I am today, really, through my graduate experience. And then I ended up making the transition just over the state to UMass Boston. So that's where I've been for the last 4 years. That's who I am. As you can see, I'm pretty tattooed. That is another good thing to just know about me. I'm hard to miss on campus. So college is hard. I get that. It is not easy to do. But one of the things that you can be very clear on, that I can be very clear on, is that you can get through this. One of the things that I struggled with during college is just the immensity of what college was. And I kind of struggled with my idea of being a first generation, first year student, someone that had never been to college, someone who's no one in my family had ever been to college. I had no idea what to expect except for what I saw in movies and TV. So I made sure that when I went to college, I tried to get as much information from my friends as I could because they had families that had gone to college and whatnot. And it turns out that I didn't really have a lot of good advice, and I didn't have a lot of good suggestions on how to actually do those things and take care of what I needed to take care of during college. And it was a big struggle for me. It was really hard. And I wanted to make sure that I was making the most of my time there. And when I started at University of Oregon, I had a really hard time doing such a thing because I quickly learned that while I was a big fan of the school when I first went in, once I actually got there, I really didn't enjoy my time. And I felt like I'd made a big, big, big mistake. And I wanted to find out why my friends were having a much easier time when I was struggling so much. One of the things that I struggled with so much was not taking care of myself. I saw a lot of my friends getting involved with clubs and with other friends and doing all sorts of things that helped them expand their college experience, but I just couldn't do it. I struggled getting through a lot of my experience because I just genuinely had no idea what to do. And because of my lack of knowledge, understanding what the college experience was like, and misunderstanding how to actually survive during college, I ended up just not doing a very good job at taking care of myself. I lived on a lot of energy drinks. As much as I love 7-Eleven, I was kind of abusing 7-Eleven right next to my campus dorm. One of the things I would just stay up late, drink energy drinks, eat a bunch of nachos, sunflower seeds, candy. That was my life my first year of college. I still didn't drink until a few years later, but those were my vices, nachos and energy drinks. I tell you what, not something I recommend. I actually haven't had those nachos since my first year of college, and that was 14 years ago, which is really wild to think about. But I had a really hard time taking care of myself. I didn't sleep very well. I didn't eat very well. I didn't do a lot of good exercising. The only exercise that I really got my first year of college was riding my bike around campus, and that was about it. Overall, I just didn't do a very good job of managing a lot of things in my life. I was also really sad all the time. I struggled a lot in high school, specifically with depression and anxiety, and struggling with those things is really hard. And I found myself really struggling to actually be able to succeed because I was finding myself alone a lot of the time, and I found myself just really unable to make friends or connect with other people just because of my depression. And I would get anxious all the time trying to meet new people, and then I would kind of like fall back into the ether when it failed eventually. I was, needless to say, I was not who I am today back then, because I am a pretty confident, we're a pretty high self-esteem person, and I find it pretty easy to talk to people now. But in my first year of college, I really struggled. I didn't really make any friends in college. My first year of college, I had a couple friends and a roommate that I knew really well and were friends with, but that's really as far as I went with making friends in college. A lot of times I just found myself alone, and I studied alone. I did my reading alone. I wrote alone. I did a lot of things alone, and just wasn't really a healthy way of living. And I found myself just really um, struggling. And even eventually, I transferred to Oregon State University, where I ended up finishing my undergrad experience. But there, I found that while I was becoming friends with a lot more people, getting more involved, I eventually ended up turning to some bad habits. Um, I started drinking uh, when I got to Oregon State University, and I never really stopped drinking for a few years. And through that, I was kind of self-medicating when it came to my depression and anxiety. This made it easier for me to discuss things with people, to interact with people, to meet new people. And I found that it was like the healthiest way for me to actually take care of myself, when in reality I was just deluding myself into thinking that way. And a lot of the time I really just needed to find a way to turn my bad habits into a good thing. And eventually I was able to prevail through a lot of my struggles. What that looked like was actively um, going and talking to a therapist. And the therapist helped me get sober. The therapist helped me take care of my depression and my anxiety. This was the first time I went on medication since I was in high school, where I was medicated for attention deficit disorder. But I hated those medications. So I stayed off medication for a long time until I got help with my therapist in college. I'm still in therapy today. I've been going to the same therapist for almost 3 years now, and they've been helping me through a lot of stuff. Jackie gets me through a lot of my days when I really need someone to talk to. And one of the things that I think is purely important to recognize right now is you have so much access to therapy and to mental health resources on campus. We do mental health first aid on campus. We do a lot with our counseling center. I work with them closely to make sure that y'all are getting educated on who you can talk to, when you can talk to people, and they're putting together a lot of really great support groups and talk groups that you can join, especially now digitally. You're able to get that support from them as long as you may need it. Um, they're there to help you. It is free to talk to these folks. They want to help you out. They want to do the best for you. They want to make sure that you're getting the help that you need. It was because of these free services that I had during my time at Oregon State University, I was able to get the help that I needed so that I could prevail through some of my depression, my drinking problems, and just ultimately taking care of my overall personal and social wellness. Um, One of the things that I'm really proud of today is I'm proud to say that I'm almost 8 years sober, which is really exciting. I'll be 8 years sober in July. It's a completely different person who I am today than I was back then. And I'm really proud of the person that I am today. I know that a lot of college students can develop drinking problems during college. And I just want to share that you can be resilient without it. You can find a way to be successful and not need to depend on alcohol to do those things. I'm not here telling you to not drink. I'm telling you to be smart about how you do and if you do. And, if you are underage, just don't. Please, please don't. I would like it if you did it, because that would mean you were breaking the law. And I know that it's so lame to follow the law, but you should do that. Please, please follow the law. But resiliency is a really important thing in college, because you're going to get challenged a lot. I was challenged a hell of a lot during my first couple of years of college. And why? Well, I mean, throughout my entire time in college, I was challenged. And it really just took bouncing back, pushing through some of the hard times, just to make sure that you got your projects done, got your papers done, did your reading, met with your friends, had a good discussion group, all those things that make you a resilient person, because you're there to get a college degree. You're there to do what you need to do to succeed. And for some folks, learning how to be on your own for the first time might be a big struggle. And it might be the first time that you're actually learning how to take care of yourself. And that's what it was like for me. My parents didn't really help me in any way during college, which was really hard, but they were still supportive. They just couldn't really help me because they didn't really know what I was going through. So I had to do a lot of it on my own, much like many of you probably have to do a lot of this on your own. And especially since we're in this digital realm, it's really hard to find the energy or the desire to do some of the things we need to do to take care of ourselves, because it's easier just to do nothing. Trust me, I've been feeling that during quarantine. But what I've learned is getting up, establishing a routine, setting a schedule can be really helpful. And I think that that's a real big thing that you can do while you are in the digital realm of college. I know it's not ideal. I know, especially for the first year students that are going through college right now for the first time, this is not an ideal way to get your college experience, especially if you weren't planning on doing everything online. Some people are, and that's great. Other people, I know, we're not. So hopefully when we get to be in human form on campus, things will be a little bit quote unquote normal. But at the same time, I know that we might be in this way for a while. So we need to learn how to be resilient and to take care of ourselves during this time specifically. Ultimately, I got help. You can get help. There's a lot of ways to take care of yourself. Going to therapy, talking to friends, making friends, being active. I'm about to share some really good suggestions that have been workshopped throughout the years with my students and with other incoming students at UMass Boston. And I think it's really important to share some of the stuff that's coming up, because it's great to create good habits right now. I did not do a very good job of that, as I've said, but you have so much power ahead of you right now. You have so much time, you have so much energy, you have so much potential ahead of you right now to just create good habits. And what that looks like is different for everyone. What I suggest here may not be best for all of you, but it can definitely set you on the right path during college if you just focus a little bit on being successful in ways that you might not have thought about. And part of my job is to make sure that I remind folks about some of these very simple things to do to be successful, because sometimes in college you're going to forget to do some of these things. Trust me, I did. I forgot a lot of this stuff. So I'm going to make sure that you have this good reminder right now so I can set you up for success before you even get too far into your experience. Stress. Look at that fire. So it's going to be stressful. College is super stressful. This is the part of the presentation where I like to elicit suggestions from the audience on what you do when you're stressed out. Some of the things that have come up in the past, when some negative things that people do when they're stressed out: binge eating, not eating enough, oversleeping, undersleeping, online shopping, people tend to do when they're overly stressed. Some other negative things are um, repressing that frustration, taking your frustration out on others. The way that we express our negative stress can look a lot of different ways. Some positive things we do when we're stressed: exercise, go to the gym, find a good TV show to watch. Don't binge too much because you got other stuff to do. Remember that. But also make sure that you're eating food. I'm about to get to that. Don't overeat. If you can, just make sure you're eating enough, because some of those good habits can become bad habits if you're starting to do them a little bit too much and over obsessing on a lot of things. Trust me when I say this, I've lived that experience. You don't want to over like overcommit yourself to one form of self-care, because it might be the thing that ends up you might just end up forgetting. You might feel like you resent it. That's the word I was looking for. Resent it, if you just stick to one specific thing. So just make sure that you're doing a lot of different things to manage your stress. Um, One of the big things that you learn to do during college is cope. I know that learning to cope with what we're going through can be really hard. Hopefully, developing friendships with new people on campus from all over the country, all over the world, can help you develop a good support system. This always helped me as I eventually made a lot of friends and made a lot of connections during college. Learning to cope with problems and things that come your way and your stress is a really strong way of becoming a resilient human being, because instead of bottling up what you're going through, sharing that with others and going through those things with other people and trying to be a successful, resilient person can be one of the most rewarding things that you experience during college. And I think that it's key that you develop these habits as quickly as possible during college. Take care of your mental health. Make sure that your brain is strong and can lift weights. Your brain can lift weights. Um, I took a little bit of time before actually taking care of my depression and anxiety, but now it is like the main thing that I take care of. Sorry about that. So I make sure that I am taking care of every single little thing in my brain that I need to take care of. My therapist and my psychiatrist help me out with medication, with my weekly conversations, and I do a lot of work on my own. It doesn't just happen all of a sudden. You have to be able to do a lot of work for yourself. So it's something you kind of got to want. Along with all the stuff that I'm sharing, you kind of have to want it. Um, it's hard to kind of go into this thing haphazardly. Just make sure that you're developing plans and developing strategies so that you can be successful when it comes to your first year, or down to your fourth, fifth, or sixth year of college, so that you have good, stable systems in line so that you can take care of these things. Get some sleep. Those three words are very important. Make sure that you are giving yourself time at night to get into bed at a comfortable time. Don't try as much as you can to not pull all-nighters. I know that it was hard for me to not do that during college, but it's really not good for your brain or for your body or for your sleep. Try as hard as you can to make sure that you're setting good schedules so that you do get enough rest. I know that during this first semester, no one's really commuting. So you really have the opportunity to wake up, go to class straight away from waking up if you want to. So you likely have a better opportunity of getting some good sleep this semester. So I strongly urge you to do that and make that one of your big priorities moving forward. Because trust me, once you get into your later years of college, you'll be thankful that you developed a good sleep strategy. I definitely did that during college, and it made me a much more successful person. Eat food, eat something, have something in your body that gives you nourishment. I suggest having fresh fruits, vegetables, baby carrots, strawberries, apple, orange, um, anything that can give you energy throughout the day. Pack a lunch if you can, if you're on campus. I know we're not on campus right now, but keep your food pantry or fridge or whatever stocked with good fresh food, and make sure that you're actually eating something, because a healthy fed body is going to be really good for your brain as well. So you can make sure that you're taking care of your entire holistic self by making sure that you're taking care of your brain and your body at the same time. And lack of eating can be really bad for your brain, because your body is trying to overcompensate for it not being fed, so it can make you a lot more distracted from how you're actually feeling, so that you're not actually taking care of yourself and not feeling well, and then you might end up developing some bad habits. So stay away from some energy drinks that have more sugar in them that you should have. Stay away from coffee in the afternoon, because that'll stain your system. It might affect your sleep system, your sleep schedule. Just make sure that you're making smart decisions with the food that you put into your body. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, uh, in high school, I overcommitted myself a lot. I was in all three. I was in three sports each season. I was in a sport. I did all these student organizations. I was in our student government. I did all this stuff, all the student leadership things. I also had a lot of friends, and we went out and we did cool things on the weekends. Sure, great. That's awesome. I did too. And I thought I could do the same thing once I got overly committed in college. And then I realized I can't do everything. You can't do everything. So learning how to say no is super duper important. I strongly urge many people during their first semester to really, if you want to join an organization, join one. See how it goes. Maybe join another your second semester. Start feeling out leadership positions that you might want to have while you're in college, but make sure that you're doing it incrementally. You're not just overcommitting yourself all at once. I've seen that happen to many students, and it can be very dangerous for your health and for your studies as well. I say that having been an RA during college, while at the same time I was a student editor for our college newspaper, and I was also in charge of an organization that put on concerts all over campus. So I was spread real thin across three intense positions that I held on campus, while also doing my schoolwork, double majoring in English and education. So there was a lot going on in my everyday life that I was trying to balance at the same time. And that's just because I had a hard time saying no to people, because I thought I'd let them down. I thought I'd be disappointing folks if I didn't commit to everything that came my way. So I strongly urge you, it's okay to turn down possible opportunities and events and organizations, because you're going to have opportunities down the road. Just make sure that you're giving yourself the time and effort to have the energy to put into your schoolwork, because again, you're here to get a degree. You're here to make friends too, but make sure that you're getting that degree. Along with saying no for yourself, you also need to advocate for yourself. Learning to say no is important. Advocating for yourself is important. What this means is making sure that you are tapping into what you need as a human being, as a person uh, in college, as a person in the world, making sure that your needs are being met. What I mean by this is, if you have some sort of need for the classroom, like you have a hard time taking notes, you can get a note taker through the Ross Center. If you need a different attendance policy because of commuting or because of whatever circumstances, you can get a different attendance policy. Knowing what you need to succeed is important. During college, my dad was really sick. And one of the things that I did during that time was let my professors know, like, hey, my dad's not doing well. At some point, I might need to uh, I might need to go home and take care of him. So if I miss a class here or there, or if I miss an assignment, or if I miss a paper, I'm just letting you know now so that you know that I'm not just making up some excuse. And it did actually come in handy a couple times when I did need to remake a midterm or have an extension on a paper, just because I let folks know ahead of time that those things were realities for me. That was advocating for myself so that I could be successful. Also advocate with your friends. Let them know, along with saying no, let them know what you need so that they can help you be successful as well, so that they can help take care of you as well. Because you can't, it takes a community. You can't do everything on your own. College is all about developing community around you, and being able to develop good friendships and good connections with folks will make you super successful. Exercise. I know that right now, some folks are secluded to working out in their living rooms or just in their backyards. A lot of people are rollerblading right now, which is really cool to see. So I strongly urge you taking up some sort of activity during the day. I run, I do CrossFit as well. There are just uh, there are just so many ways that you can be active and put your body into motion that um, might sound like a lot of work. I get it, exercise, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it is really good for you to work out your brain, work out your body, because the more endorphins that you build up, honestly, your brain is actually firing at a much better pace, at a much better rate. So something that I suggest to people is, if you're on a treadmill or an elliptical, or even one of the stationary bikes, you can put your notes in front of you. Study. Your brain is firing when you're exercising. So just make sure that you're actually like using that time to be to potentially double up your efforts, to exercise and study a little bit. It's possible. I did it a lot during college. So just make sure that when you are exercising, try not to overdo it as well. I've had a history of that. So just make sure that you are exercising to what your body needs. And when you need to rest, rest, and listen to it if it's creaking or cracking, or you need to actually take care of yourself and go to the doctor. So just be aware of the changes in your body as well as you exercise a little bit more. Do what you love. So as much as you can be successful just studying, making friends and whatever, don't sacrifice what makes you you because you're busy. Um, I like to set aside, when I come home, I try to set aside about 30 minutes to just not do anything that is work related, or that has to do with schoolwork. If I was a student, I strongly urge students to take 30 minutes and just do something that you love. Play guitar, put on music. I play records when I get home generally. Put on a video game, do something that you love so that you're not sacrificing it and still giving yourself that time in your schedule to actually do something that you want to do, rather than feeling like you're locked into just study, 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 work, work, work. Do something that you love, at least for 30 minutes to an hour of a day. Even if that one thing you love is exercising, do that. I go for a run almost every day. I think that it's a good thing for my brain, and it's also just a good thing in general to keep myself regulated. Do things with friends, or don't. Like, if you spend your time with a bunch of people all day, and you need some introvert time, have some introvert time. But if you also want to hang out, do Zoom calls, do any number of interactive activities that we're doing these days through our online channels. Just make sure that you're staying active, and or social with people, if that's something that you want. I think that it's really good for us and our social wellness to be successful, taking care of our social needs. But for some people, especially if they're around people all day, it can be really tiring and exhausting to be on all the time. So I get that too. That's why I say, or don't. Just make sure that you're getting what you need when you need it. I also say go outside, or don't, because the pandemic's happening right now. But if you can go outside, go for a walk. 30-minute walk every day or whenever can be really good for your brain. The good healthy open air is nice for us to be able to breathe. So getting fresh air is always important and always helpful. So if you want to go outside, go outside. And lastly, take breaks. Give yourself a quick coffee break, go for a jog. Anything that gives you the opportunity to just shut off for a minute can be really helpful. Working to yourself to the grindstone every single day is not necessarily the best way to be successful in college. Just make sure that you're giving yourself some time to just exist. You're going to be okay. You're going to get through college. It might be hard. It's going to be really hard at a lot of different times in your experience in college. But I promise you, as long as you're giving yourself like one evening, Friday nights, Saturday nights, one of those nights, two of those nights, a weekend to just relax a little bit, give yourself breaks, it's going to make things a lot easier. I promise that you've got this. You've got this. I believe in you. I'm done now. If you want to get in touch with me, go to craig.bideman@umb.edu. You can also go to my website if you're curious about some of the other things I do in the world. Social media is right there as well. Um, but yeah, that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed this conversation on wellness and taking care of yourself during college. Be sure to check out any more of my other presentations that are on the UMB Wellness page. And I hope that you're going to have a good first year, or whatever you're listening to this, you're having a good time with life. That's all I got. Have a good one. Bye.